What is up, everybody? Welcome to Prix Game. We are so excited to finally be here. This has been a pet project of ours for 2 months now, and it's finally here. We want to first and foremost thank our loved ones, mom and dad, for still loving us and supporting us. Snaps and claps indeed. Thank you. Thank you. But anyway, purpose of this video is to tell you why the heck are we doing this at all? Um, I'm Colin. He's John, and let's dive into the why the heck we're here.
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, it's out of a mutual passion and love for the sport of Formula One racing. And I think, bottom line, we feel like there is an American perspective that we can lend to how we view this sport. Obviously, we've grown up with a very different sporting culture, a different history and viewpoint on motor racing generally. And also, we've come up through ways of thinking about the sport like ESPN, Barstool, right? And the whole gambling and betting aspect of sport through things like fantasy football that gives us a very different take on what we see both on track and off track.
Yeah, and for me, it's I have a lot of friends that are bored with the sport, right? And frankly, watching Max win week over week isn't that exciting for them. And I think they don't know how to make it more exciting because it is an exciting sport. But the reality is for whatever reason, the ESPNs of the world, the Pardon My Takes of the world, the Barstool Sports of the world, they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick. And the only content that really exists is really kind of stuffy commentary from over the pond. And the reality is I like my morning radio talk shows that talks about the salacious things that you want to hear about and talk about in the bar to be up to date, even if you didn't watch Drive to Survive, all 60 hours of content, which I did. And I'm
Same
glad I
here.
did. But at the same time, I understand that's a huge barrier to entry. And you just want to cut to the chase and hear what's going on. And, hopefully we can provide a fresh perspective on what's up in the sport.
Absolutely. Because when we really look at it from our perspective, I think we see the sport from at least 4 or 5 different levels, right? First of all, there is the on track competition, of course, right? And this is high stakes. I mean, some of the crashes, the people are putting their lives on the line every time they get into one of these race cars, right? Every place these teams compete for is worth millions of dollars and possibly even more in terms of ad revenue and sponsorships, right? The drivers have to fund multi-million dollar campaigns to even vie for a race seat. Meanwhile, multinational corporations are jostling for dominance, both in terms of technical prowess and in terms of the business relationships that enable them to get ahead in the sport. Additionally, there are national stakes to consider. Logan Sargent, the first American driver on the grid in years, is
America,
competing for that second Williams seat.
America.
That's right. And man, Zhou Guangzhou, one of the first Chinese drivers on the grid in generations, is also in a high stakes position right now with his ties. So, yeah, there's just so many different layers. Not to mention, I love thinking about Lawrence Stroll, Aston Martin, and Lance Stroll in this sort of succession dynamic. And every time Lawrence Stroll talks about moving up the grid, I just hear the succession theme playing because the business moves that he's been making off the grid are just as compelling as Lance Stroll trying to keep up with Fernando Alonso at the moment.
Yep. And as everybody listening can probably tell, John and I took different journeys to get to where we are today. John knows a lot. A lot. He's a wealth of knowledge. You're welcome, John. It is absolutely true. Whereas I took the more traditional American route, which was Drive to Survive. I started watching the races live every week, and I love the narrative, right? It's all about the narrative. People can stand the NFL and the NBA because there are incredibly compelling narratives behind the scenes, the drama, right? That's what makes it exciting on game day. And I think that really is lacking out there. Again, we come from different schools of thought, John and I, just because of our upbringing in the sport, if you will. But I think overall, our goal is to live, laugh, and learn with y'all. Obviously, I'll be doing more learning than John, but we spend an inordinate amount of time finding this information, curating it, and just finding the bites that are worth talking about. So, again, hopefully you'll join us for this journey. We're planning to have a lot of fun, to laugh, and to learn together. And again, just thank you everybody for tuning in. If you've made it this far, 6 minutes into the video already, you rock. We're obviously on all the socials, so please like, subscribe, etc. It's all we ask. And again, thank you and welcome to Pregame Live. Cheers.